Thanks for joining us. My name's Allison Carl, and I'm the project manager for Gateway. As you know, the schools will be entering their financial information on their AFR for the first time this year. So I wanted to do just a little demo and show you how that's going to work. Hopefully make it a little easier as you go through the process. So right now you're looking at the Gateway AFR screen, and you'll see a link to the financial data by fund section. Last year, as kind of a starting point for this process, we asked you to upload a two-column file with the fund number and fund name. And this year, of course, we've expanded that a little bit. So the sheet will be in spreadsheet form, and it'll be pretty easy to manipulate. You'll be able to upload data, and then you'll be able to modify the data within the spreadsheet. So if you wanted to delete some rows, you could do that. If you wanted to add additional rows at the bottom, you can do that as well. You can also copy and paste from a spreadsheet into the file. So there are various ways to make modifications that are needed. I'm going to begin by showing you a little bit from the Gateway User Guide. So if you look at the first page of the user guide and just click Financial Data by Fund, Schools, it will bring you to the section where we describe in detail the information about the new uploads. We've provided this information to all your software vendors, so they should have upload files that will work for you, but I want to go over just real quickly some of the basics. This will be somewhat similar to the Form 9 data that you upload to the Department of Education. However, the Department of Education requires a breakdown by object, school ID, and subcategory. And the SBOA does not need those, so our file will hopefully be a little smaller. One other change, funds 8,000 through 9,999 are not included in the Form 9 upload, but we're going to ask you to include those in our upload. So that's for accounts such as petty cash funds, prepaid school lunch account, payroll withholding funds, various clearing accounts. We typically added those on after the fact as we were doing the audit. So we're going to have you include that as in your upload so we have all the information to run the financials up front. So here's the format that the upload will be in. It will be in 5 fields, and then a 6th field will be added on the actual screen. So the first field will be your section number, which is one of the fields you already upload with Form 9, and the numbers that will be applicable, as you can see listed there, are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7. So those are the sections we'll be looking at. The second field is the fund number. The third field is the fund name. The fourth field is the receipt or disbursement account or the beginning balance account number. And the last field is the amount. So some things to point out. The amount field should be formatted in a general method on your Excel spreadsheet. So it shouldn't include any commas or any parentheses. If it does, those won't upload properly. The receipt account should all be 4-digit codes that are included in the school manual on the list of receipt accounts. Same with the expenditure accounts. The expenditure accounts are the 5-digit accounts that are included in the school manual. For your beginning balances, you will use a 0 for your account to indicate those. So I don't believe you're currently uploading the beginning balances for the Form 9, but you will be uploading those to the Financial Data by Fund section. The last field, basically the 6th field that's not part of the upload I mentioned, is the fund type. Here's a list of the fund types. In the school manual, there's a list of funds, and there's some fund types that are assigned to each one of those funds. So these will be automatically populated for most of your funds. However, if there's a fund that is sometimes used different ways by different schools, that will be left blank, and you will have to go in and select the proper fund type for that fund. So I've been talking a lot about these numbers all coming from the school manual, so I thought it might be helpful for me to show you how to locate the school manual. So on the SBOA website, if you choose schools, it'll look like this at the top. And you can just scroll down until you see School Uniform Compliance Guidelines Manual. So the information for the funds, the receipt, the expenditure accounts, and the clearing accounts is all located in these chapters. The fund list will look something like this. Again, at the top is a list of the fund types and then a list of the funds and each one with the fund type selected. So you'll notice that for some of the fund ranges here, an asterisk is indicated because these could be used for different fund types. So those would be accounts in this range you would have to go in and select the fund type for after you made your upload. This is what the receipt codes look like. In your upload, you'll only be able to use the 4-digit receipt codes that are included on this list. And to the right here, it indicates the types of funds that are eligible to use these receipt codes. So if you make a mistake there this year, that will just be a warning. It won't prevent you from submitting your AFR, but you will need to be sure that you use one of the codes in this list for each line, because if not, we won't be able to put the information on the proper lines on the financial statement. So that's why we'll have to reject those as errors. The same way with the disbursements codes. You'll have to enter the expenditure codes listed here, and only the ones on this list in your upload. And I've also opened up the schedule on the 8,000 and 9,000 accounts. So you'll enter the same information for these accounts as for the other funds. You'll enter the beginning balance, receipts, and expenditures for each one of those as well in your file. Okay, so let's go back to Gateway and do a little demo of how the upload process will work. First, it's important to note that when you do an upload, it will erase any information that is already entered. So you can see this unit has already entered some information either by upload or by typing it in. So if I go in and choose a file and upload it, it's going to overwrite everything that's already been entered. So let's do that. Let's choose File. And try some test data here. So I've selected the file and I'm going to include upload data. And if it's in the proper format, it should upload no problem. So proper format is also spelled out for you in the user guide. It should be a CSV file with no headers and so forth. So now our new data has been uploaded. I always go ahead and click Save Changes at the very beginning because that sort of forces the error reports to update. So there's two kind of errors that we note on this form. The first are code errors and the second are interaction errors. So a code error is something we can know right away when you make the entry that it's incorrect. So for the section number, we already discussed that only sections 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7 are allowable. So if I would enter section number 8, right away it's going to highlight that as red and let us know as a code error that that's not an acceptable value to use in the section number. The same way with an account number. If I enter an account number that's not on the list, it's going to highlight that in red right away to let me know that I need to make the change. So again, anytime you make a change, be sure to save your changes because that updates the interaction error report. You can see it turned from yellow to red now that I've entered these values that would cause an error in submission. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what the error report looks like. This is going to be super helpful for you to use to correct any errors that you've made in your upload. So in this case, we don't have very many uploads, but different things you can do to manipulate the error report. If you do, I always go ahead and wrap the text right away so I can read the column headings more clearly. You can also add filters and manipulate this data in different ways to help you target your errors and know how to fix those. So any place you see a 0 indicated, that will mean everything's fine. But if you see a 1 in these cells, that's where the errors or warnings exist. So the first columns here are really just an output of the information that you've entered in the financial data by fund. Then that's followed by the error code, the error sections, and the warning sections last. So there's several different types of errors that will cause a warning or an error, and I will go through those with you next. So the first ones I want to talk about are submission errors. So if you upload or type in a section number that's not equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 7, like I just typed in 9, and now that's going to be highlighted as an error. I guess I typed in 8. So you can see that's highlighted here as an invalid section number. Another type of submission error you might get is an invalid fund number. If it's not in this range, it will be listed as an error. Also, an invalid account number. If you use a receipt account or a disbursement expenditure account that's not on the list, that will show up as an error that you'll need to correct. Duplicate fund name. Each fund must have a different name, and you must use the same name for each fund for every entry that's made for that fund. Invalid combination of section and account. Here we'll definitely want those to agree. Since 5 and 7 sections are for beginning balances, we'll always want the account code to be 0 for those. Sections 1 and 3 are for receipts. We will want to see a receipt, a 4-digit receipt account for each one of those. And since sections 2 and 4 are for expenditures or disbursements, we'll want to see the 5-digit code listed for those. And if they don't match, we'll give you an error so that you have an opportunity to correct those. Invalid fund type is also a submission error. So you'll want to go in and select a fund type for ones that didn't populate automatically. For the funds that are listed with those asterisks, that could be various fund types, you'll have to go in and select your own on those few. Also, inconsistent fund number and fund type. So if in one place you say account 200 is fund type 2, and another place you say it's fund type 10, you're going to get an error because the fund would have to be the same fund type in each occurrence. You would also get a submission error for a duplicate entry where the section number, the fund number, and the account number were the same, because those, if there are several transactions with that combination, those should all be added together in one amount column. So only one entry with that combination would be allowed. In addition to the error warnings, there are also some submission warnings. So we anticipate these will be more common, and this year we're going to go ahead and allow those. They won't prevent you from submitting the AFR. So invalid fund number would give you a warning if you're using a fund number that isn't on the school manual list. For this year, you'd be able to go ahead and submit using that fund number. Also, invalid combination of fund number and account numbers. So for example, if an account number is listed and it's only allowed for a special fund and you've used it for a debt service fund, you'll be able to go ahead and submit with that this year. We'll just give you a warning to let you know that that account is really not supposed to be used for that specific fund. So I thought I'd highlight the different errors there. And now let's take a look. So these amounts came from the beginning schedule. I just highlight those green. And these are the warnings that we might want to look at, but we don't have to fix in order to submit. And these would be the errors that we're going to have to take care of before we can submit our AFR. So right now we just have the one error. It's an invalid section number. We see we have an 8, it's not allowed, and invalid account number. We have 99, which is not allowed. So in most cases, I assume you'll have more than this, but we're going to just start off with this simple option. So let's go back and see how we correct that. Obviously, one way to correct it would be just to delete the row and type in the row accurately at the bottom, or we could just manually change each cell to something that we hope will work. I don't know these by heart, so. So I can't think of an account number right away that would work that's not already listed here for account 101, but you get the idea. So once we make those changes, we click save, and the interaction report will be updated. So there's many other types of errors we could have. So for example, if we had section number 1, fund number 101, and we use the same account twice, it wouldn't show up here, but when we save the changes and ran the error report, we would see that that's an invalid. It's not okay to have the duplicates of all the same. So it would show up as a duplicate entry. Each combination must be unique. And again, each error or warning type that is indicated by a column here, there's a short explanation at the top, as well as there'll be a link to the school manual where you can go check the specific codes. So now you can see that we do have an error for duplicate entries that share the same section number, fund number, and account number. So we would need to correct those before we could submit. So I think this is going to be fairly easy to use. Definitely it's going to be easier to edit and modify than some of the other uploads we've had for other unit types. So I hope you find it easy to work with. I believe that was all I had to go over. If you do have questions, you can email us, gateway@sboa.in.gov, or you can email the directors at schools.townships@sboa.in.gov. So thanks and good luck as you go through this process.